Next, xylem vessels. What is xylem vessel? The xylem vessel is nothing but long cylindrical tube-like cells. They are long cylindrical tube-like cells made up of many cells. They are long cylindrical tube-like made up of many cells. A long cylindrical tube-like cell made up of many cells. That is called as xylem vessel. So the xylem vessel is composed of many cells. Each cell of the xylem vessel is called as vessel member. Each cell of the xylem vessel is called as vessel member. So this is vessel member. Each cell of the xylem vessel, that is called as vessel member. The end walls of the vessel members are perforated or non-perforated. This is perforation. The end walls of the vessel members are perforated. So vessel members are dead or living cells, dead cells, and are devoid of protoplasm. They are without protoplasm and are treated as dead cells. The cell wall is thick and is made up of lignin. This is the cell wall which is made up of lignin. Due to absence of protoplasm having a large central cavity. That is nothing but lumen. And the protoplasm is absent having a large central cavity which is called as lumen. How the vessel members are interconnected with one another. This is one vessel member, this is another vessel member. The vessel members are interconnected with one another through their perforations present on their common walls. That is important. The vessel members are interconnected with one another through perforations present on their common walls. Vessel members are interconnected through perforations present on their common walls. This is one vessel member, and this is another vessel member, and this is third vessel member. Like that, all the vessel members are interconnected with one another to form a long tube. That is called as xylem vessel. And form a long tube from root up to the tip of the stem. All the vessel members are interconnected with one another to form a long tube from root up to the tip of the stem. So xylem vessels are present only in angiospermic plants. Having xylem vessel is the characteristic feature of angiosperms. In flowering plants like angiosperms, conduction of water mainly takes place through both vessels and tracheids. In angiosperms, that is in flowering plants, Flowering plant means both gymno and angio. But in gymno, vessels are absent. Here, flowering plant means only angiosperms. Conduction of water takes place both by vessel and tracheids. Conduction of water takes place both by vessel and tracheid in flowering plants like angiosperms. Next, xylem fibers. Xylem fibers. What is xylem fiber? Anybody? What is xylem fiber? What is fiber? Yes, it is nothing but a cell of sclerenchyma. A cell of sclerenchyma present in xylem is called as xylem fiber. A cell of sclerenchyma present in xylem, that is called as xylem fiber. Xylem fibers are also long elongated cells with thick lignified walls having obliterated central lumen. They are long elongated cells with thick lignified walls. They are also the dead cells, so having lignified walls. They are long elongated cells with thick lignified walls having obliterated central lumen. This is tracheid, that is xylem fiber. This is cell wall of the xylem fiber, which is very thick. This is lumen. Obliterated means very narrow. As the cell wall is more thickened, the empty space becomes narrow. As the cell wall becomes more thickened, the empty space becomes very narrow. Such very narrow lumen is called as obliterated central lumen. Obliterated lumen can be seen only in xylem fibers. Very, very important point. Obliterated central lumen is present in xylem fibers. The xylem fibers having either septa or without septa. Septa means cross walls. They may be septate or aseptate. They may be septate or aseptate. Aseptate means without septa. Septa means cross walls. So the xylem fibers having either cross walls or without cross walls. What is the main function of xylem fiber? Provide mechanical support, not conduction. Xylem fiber mainly provide mechanical support to the plant pods. Next is xylem parenchyma. Xylem parenchyma is the only living cell present in xylem. They are the only living cells in xylem. So having thin cellulosic cell wall, not lignified wall. With vacuolated protoplasm. The cells are living, so the cell wall is made up of cellulose, and the protoplasm having a large centrally located vacuole. Parenchyma cells are mature or immature cells? Mature cells. So the protoplasm is thin and the vacuole is occupied at the center of the cell. Next, the xylem parenchyma cells store food materials in the form of starch or fat. They store food materials in the form of starch or fats like. They also store ergostic compounds. They also store ergostic compounds. Ergostic material means secondary metabolites. That is nothing but tannins. The xylem parenchyma cells store food materials in the form of starch or fat, and also the secondary metabolite in the form of tannins. Tannin is not a food material. Generally, parenchyma having two kinds of cells. One is called as axial parenchyma. Second one is called as ray parenchyma. This is axial parenchyma. And this is ray parenchyma. So the ray parenchyma cells helpful for radial conduction of water. The ray parenchyma cells helpful for radial conduction. Ray parenchyma cells helpful for radial conduction of water. That is also important point. So that is regarding xylem. The xylem is composed of tracheids, xylem vessels, xylem fibers, and xylem parenchyma. Tracheids are dead cells. Xylem vessels are also dead cells. Xylem fibers are also dead cells. So the cell walls are thick due to the deposition of lignin and also having narrow lumen due to absence of protoplasm. So xylem vessels is the character cells present in angiospermic plant. So in angiosperm, conduction of water takes place both by vessels and tracheids. Obliterated central lumen is located in xylem fibers. The xylem fibers having septa or without septa. So they may be septate or aseptate. Xylem parenchyma is the only living cell present in xylem. The cell walls are thin or thick? Thin, made up of cellulose. The cells having protoplasm along with a large vacuole. The cells store food materials in the form of starch or fat and also having an ergostic compound that is nothing but, that is tannin. Tannins. Which kind of parenchyma helpful for radial conduction? Ray parenchyma helpful for radial conduction. Next, a xylem is of two types. Primary xylem and secondary xylem. The xylem is of two types, that is primary and secondary xylem. Primary xylem is formed from Primary meristem is formed from procambium. That is embryonal cells. So primary xylem is formed from procambium. Procambium or promeristem. But secondary xylem is formed from interfascicular cambium, intrafascicular cambium together forms a ring that is called as, what is the name of the cambial ring? Vascular cambium. So secondary xylem is formed from vascular cambium. So you have to remember either primary xylem or primary phloem. Primary xylem, primary phloem, both are formed from procambium. Secondary xylem and secondary phloem both are formed from vascular cambium. Vascular cambium is formed by both intercalary meristem, intrafascicular cambium. It is primary or secondary? Primary. Interfascicular cambium, secondary. Primary xylem having two kinds of cells. That is protoxylem and metaxylem. So protoxylem and metaxylem is present only in primary xylem, not in secondary. Protoxylem and metaxylem both are present only in primary xylem, not in secondary xylem. What is protoxylem? First formed primary xylem. First formed primary xylem elements are called as protoxylem. Later formed primary xylem. That is called as metaxylem. Though they are first formed, the cells are very small, but metaxylem elements are larger in size. Protoxylem elements are smaller in size, and metaxylem elements are larger in size. In a primary xylem, protoxylem towards center. Center means towards pith side. And metaxylem towards periphery. Towards periphery means pericycle side. Protoxylem towards center and metaxylem towards periphery. Such kind of arrangement of primary xylem is called as end-arc xylem. This is metaxylem and this is protoxylem. This is meta and this is proto. Protoxylem is present towards center and metaxylem is present towards peripheral side. Such kind of arrangement of primary xylem is called as end-arc xylem. How the arrangement of end-arc xylem takes place? It is formed from periphery to center or center to periphery. Which one is first formed? Where it is located? Towards center. Metaxylem is formed later. So the arrangement takes place from center to periphery. Center to periphery. So metaxylem, the end-arc xylem is arranged from center to periphery. Such kind of arrangement is called as What is it called? It is arranged from center to periphery. Centrifugal. So end-arc xylem is arranged centrifugally. So centrifugally arranged xylem is end-arc xylem. Centrifugally arranged xylem is called as end-arc. So having end-arc xylem is the characteristic feature of both the monocot stem and dicot stem. Both the monocot and dicot stems having end-arc xylem. If protoxylem is present towards peripheral side, that is towards pericycle side, and metaxylem towards the center, that is towards the medulla side, that is pith side. Such kind of arrangement of xylem is called as exarch xylem. Protoxylem towards periphery and metaxylem towards center. This is proto and this is metaxylem. How the arrangement of primary and proto and metaxylem takes place here? So it is formed from periphery to center. If it is formed from periphery to center, it is called as centripetal xylem. So exarch xylem is arranged centripetally and end-arc xylem is arranged centrifugally. So exarch condition is present in roots, that is in monocot and dicot root. Both the monocot and dicot roots having exarch xylem. So that is about xylem. Next, phloem. Next we can test anatomy up to tissue systems. Tissue system, that is epidermal tissue system, ground tissue system and vascular tissue system. Next, phloem. Phloem is a complex tissue composed of many living cells. Many living cells. A complex tissue composed of many dead cells, that is xylem. A complex tissue composed of many living cells, that is nothing but phloem. What is the another definition for phloem? Complex tissue help in conduction of food material, that is called as phloem. In angiosperms, The phloem is composed of sieve tube elements. Companion cells. Phloem parenchyma. And phloem fibers. In angiosperm, the phloem is composed of sieve tube elements, companion cells, phloem parenchyma, and phloem fibers. First three are living cells. Living cells in phloem, but phloem fibers are the dead cells in phloem. Sieve tube elements, companion cells, and phloem parenchyma are the living cells, but phloem fibers are dead cells in phloem. But in gymnosperm, the phloem having sieve cells and albuminous cells. Sieve cells and albuminous cells are present in the phloem of gymnosperms. These two are present. Sieve cells and albuminous cells are present in the phloem of gymnosperms. Sieve tubes, companion cells, these two are absent in the phloem of gymnosperms. Sieve tubes and companion cells are absent in the phloem of gymnosperms. In gymnosperms, albuminous cells compensate for companion cells. Albuminous cells compensate for companion cells in gymnosperms. What is the name of the cell present in gymnosperms instead of companion cells? Albuminous cells, made up of special parenchyma cells. The companion cells also made up of parenchyma. Albuminous cells also made up of parenchyma. So the albuminous cells compensate for companion cells in gymnosperms. First, sieve tube elements. They are long tube-like cells. They are long tube-like cells arranged vertically and associated with companion cells. They are long tube-like cells and are arranged vertically and are associated with companion cells. Such kind of cells are called as sieve tube elements. So this is a tube-like a companion sieve tube element. It is always associated with companion cell. This is sieve tube element. They are long tube-like cells arranged vertically and are associated with companion cells. Sieve tube elements are also composed of many cells like that of xylem vessels. Xylem vessels are also found in the form of long tube-like from root up to tip of the stem, and sieve tube elements are also found in the form of long tube-like structures from root to tip of the stem, composed of many cells. This is one of the cell of sieve tube element. Next, the end walls of the sieve tube elements are perforated or non-perforated. End walls of the sieve tube elements are perforated in a sieve-like manner. Sieve means pores. The end walls of the sieve tube elements are perforated in a sieve-like manner and forms the sieve plates. This is called a sieve plate. The end walls of the sieve tube elements are perforated in a sieve-like manner and forms a sieve plate. They are perforated in a sieve-like manner. And form sieve plate. So sieve plates are present at the end walls of sieve tube elements. Sieve plates are present at the end walls of sieve tube elements. The pore present in between the sieve plate is called as sieve pore. This is one sieve tube element, this is second sieve tube element, and this is third sieve tube element. Like that, the sieve tubes are linked with one another to form a long tube-like structure. So sieve tube elements are dead or living cells? Living cells. They are living. What are living cells in phloem? Sieve tube elements, companion cells, and phloem parenchyma. These three are living, except the phloem fibers. So sieve tube elements are also living cells. So the cell walls are non-lignified or lignified? Non-lignified, having made up of cellulose. The cell wall is cellulosic and is non-lignified. Next, another important point. Mature sieve tube element having peripheral cytoplasm. Mature sieve tube element having peripheral cytoplasm and a large vacuole but lack of nucleus. Lack of nucleus. So this is cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is arranged towards peripheral side of the cell. This is cytoplasm and this is vacuole. But nucleus is absent. So the mature sieve tube elements are enucleated cells. Mature sieve tube elements are enucleated without nucleus. But young sieve tube elements having nucleus. Young CF tube elements having nucleus. At the time of the maturity, the nucleus only degenerates, having cytoplasm. At the time of the maturity of the cell, which is degenerated, only nucleus degenerated, having cytoplasm. Though the nucleus is absent, they may be treated as living cells in plant kingdom. These are treated as living cells in plant kingdom, though nucleus is absent. Next, another important point, this was given for many times in AIPMT. When the cells becomes injury, when the CF tube elements becomes injury, P protein was secreted. When CF tube element shows injury, P protein, P stands for phloem protein. P protein is concerned to CF tube elements of phloem. That is, you have to remember. When the cell shows injury, P protein was secreted. That P protein completely block the sieve pores of the sieve plate. Completely block the sieve pores of the sieve plate. That obstruct the conduction of food materials. So you have to remember the conduction of food materials takes place through the sieve pores of the sieve plate. In sieve tube elements, conduction takes place through the sieve pores of the sieve plate. From one sieve tube element to another sieve tube element, the conduction takes place through the sieve pores of the sieve plate. When these cells shows injury, what happened? P protein was secreted that completely block the sieve pores of the sieve plate that obstruct the conduction of food materials. Obstruct the conduction of food materials. When P protein was secreted, when the sieve tube element shows injury, when the sieve tube elements becomes older, in older sieve tube elements, a carbohydrate was secreted. A carbohydrate compound was secreted. That is called as callose. In older sieve tube elements, callose, a carbohydrate was secreted. The function of the callose is also same like that of P protein. It also completely blocks the sieve pores of the sieve plate. That is called as callose plug. Callose acts as plug and obstruct the conduction of food materials. That is called as callose plug. When callose plug is formed, when the cells becomes older, when P protein plug is formed, when the cell shows injury, the injured cells secretes P protein, the older cells secretes a carbohydrate that is nothing but callose. Both shows obstruct the conduction of food materials by blocking the sieve pores of the sieve plate. Next, companion cells. Companion cells. What are companion cells? Special type of parenchyma cells. They are associated with sieve tube element. They are special kind of parenchyma cells associated with sieve tube element. These cells are also living or dead? Living. Having thin cellulosic cell wall. The cell walls are non-lignified, having dense protoplasm with nucleus. These cells having nucleus in young condition and also at the time of the maturity. No degeneration of the nucleus takes place in companion cells. Having dense protoplasm along with the prominent nucleus. These cells are closely associated with one another in angiospermic plants because both are formed from same parental cell. The sieve tubes and companion cells both are formed from same parental cell, so both are associated together in angiosperms. And these two are linked with one another. These two are linked with one another. These two are linked with one another through pit fields. Through pit fields. Where they are located? On their common longitudinal wall. The companion cells and sieve tubes are linked with one another through pit fields present on their common longitudinal wall. That is very, very important point. The sieve tubes and companion cells are both are linked with one another through pit fields. Present on their common longitudinal walls. Next, finding functions of companion cells. Discuss tomorrow.